a lot of anguish and anxiety and had no idea why. Stay around because I'm going to share what I did to be able to dissolve it in a very loving and productive way. Hi, everyone. Here, Tommy Walker, the Mind Engineer, and today I want to talk about dealing with our emotions when we are not understanding what's going on. A lot of people out there are just denying what is happening to them. And what happens is that it's not really released and dealt with, is just suppressed and ignored. And I want to show you another way. So stick around because this story is a personal story and is what happened to me, I don't know, 5 days ago, 6 days ago. I don't remember exactly, but it was some days ago. And it was amazing because I was able to, of course, apply these tools. And suddenly the anguish and the anxiety went away. And I want to share that with you so that you understand how to start applying these things that I share in your life too. So the other day, I woke up in the morning. As soon as I woke up with terrible anguish in the chest and anxiety. I felt really weird. So the first thing, it was like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on, and my brain at the beginning was trying to deny it and repress it. Like, I shouldn't feel like this. Exactly what most people come to me and tell me when they're dealing with these things. So as soon as I started realizing that, I started waking up more and more. I started the first step that I want to invite everybody to do is to validate how they are feeling, validate the anguish, validate the anxiety instead of fighting it, because there is a reason behind it. I'm going to tell you what was happening to me, but each one of you, you need to try to go deeper to understand what is going on with you. So in my case, again, at the beginning, I didn't know what was going on. So I stayed in bed, I hugged myself, I validated, okay, I have valid reasons to feel this way. I might not understand why, but there is a reason. So I started thinking backwards, right? Did I have any dreams that could have created this? Is my mind thinking about something that I might not be aware of? Because according to Bessel van der Kolk and neuroscience, studies prove that the right lobe, that is more the emotional side memories, could be reliving a memory from the past. And if it was traumatic, maybe big trauma, small trauma, it doesn't matter, it disconnects from the left lobe. When it disconnects, the left lobe is more the intellectual side, the speaking. It cannot put in words what's going on. So instead of really trying to understand, like, from a cognitive level, I first validated, recognized that there was something going on. And then suddenly the mind started showing me what was going on. I had a dream when I was back 18 years old, more or less. I don't know exactly if I was 18, 19, but I started dating. My best friend was going out with a woman, and this woman had a best friend that they introduced to me to start dating. The thing is, back then, this person was kind of ending a relationship that it was a 5-year relationship. So she wasn't sure where she was standing, if she wanted something, real with somebody else. But we started dating. Nothing happened, just having fun, like friends at the beginning, right? And I felt a big crush for her. Seriously, I felt like, even to this date, I feel that that was the woman that, kind of hooked me. I don't know, like, I don't know how to say it, but I felt really in love with her. I never felt something like that for another woman. So we kind of dated for 2, 3 months. I don't remember exactly. Had an amazing time together, at least what I saw in my own world, right? And out of the blue, she disappeared from my life. So at that moment, I started questioning myself, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. Did I make all of this up in my mind, thinking that, this woman had also kind of a crush on me? And maybe I was wrong. Maybe I made up all of this in my mind. And when I was a kid, at school, sometimes I would fall in love or have a crush on a girl, and my mom or my dad trying to protect me. Again, they didn't do it in a bad way, right? But they would tell me, "Oh, Tommy, you fall in love so fast. You you make up this in your mind that this person might feel something for you, and then you end up like this because, of course, women would just walk away from me. So it happened many times till that last time where I said, I'm fed up with life and I decided I needed a radical change, and I went to live to the States, running away from my problems. So I wanted to live over there. But that event in my 18, 19 years old, when this woman left my life and ghosted me and disappeared, crushed me. And I had a dream of that moment again. So that dream just triggered the unresolved issues I had gone through at that age. And now people would just say, "Oh, come on, Tommy, that's in the past. Forget about it. I don't know, push through it, whatever, right?" But that just proves that my body was also experiencing the emotions that were not dealt back then, because back then I didn't have anybody to help me go through that. I was just taught to, numb, push away, ignore, and keep going. And not a lot of people do that, but eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the face if you don't deal with it. And this is what I want to bring here, guys. For this was when I was 18 years old. So we're talking about 27 years ago. And although I've done 16 years of inner work, that came back to bite me because I hadn't dealt with this. And I've seen this in people in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, that suddenly they start dealing with depression, they start dealing with anxiety, they start struggling with different things, and they don't know why, and they tend to deny it, repress it, ignore it, as they done before, but it's not working anymore. So what I want to bring here is what I did is I validated, I recognized how I was feeling. I felt crushed. I felt devastated. I felt lonely. I felt I was never going to be loved by anybody because look what has been happening all my life. And this woman that I truly believed that she was my true love walked away on me. So all of that, imagine thinking that somebody is your true love and then them walking away, not even giving any explanation. So although my friend, my best friend, and his, girlfriend explained to me that she went back with this guy, for me it was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do enough? Like falling into this, I after that I felt a lot into perfectionism and a lot many other things too that I was already carrying. Don't get me wrong, but again, it went even worse, right, in different areas of my life. But it sabotaged me a lot to try to protect me from feeling those emotions again. Validation, that's what I did when I felt that anguish and anxiety. Understanding where it comes from, what is the mind reviewing that needs to be dealt with. And I started crying that morning when I was feeling that abandonment, that rejection, indirect rejection. This person just left and never talked to me again. It was very, very painful. So I validated that and I connected with the sadness and I started crying. I started crying because I felt what I had not dealt with back then. So, how did I feel? Why did I feel this? And how did it make me feel about myself? And for a couple of days, I dealt with it, right? To be able to be there for that 18-year-old to help him process this, right? And tell him that it made sense that he felt like that because this woman just disappeared out of the blue. So it made sense that he thought that there was something really wrong with him because he had made up in his mind all of this, that, this woman might have felt something for him or might have felt some love for him, because I saw how she looked at me back then and it really felt love. But suddenly she just went away. And it was devastating back then. As I mentioned, I decided to, I fought with my friends, I fought with my family, and I thought everybody was against me. And I decided to leave the country, leave everybody behind to go to the United States. So I started, applying for a job in the US to work at a ski area. That's where I went to the US for the first time, to work at a ski area to get away from everybody that had hurt me, quote unquote. So life unfolded, different things happened, right? And the thing is, something very interesting that I didn't tell you, and I'm going to say that in a second, stick around a little bit more. So, as I worked through those days since that morning that I woke up with that pain, with little Tommy feeling not good enough, not valuable, and all of that, and explaining to him what could have happened, I couldn't confirm it because, I didn't ask that woman what happened. I never had a chance back then to ask her what really happened. For her to just say, you know what, I really liked you, but I wanted to give a try to my partner or whatever, right? I didn't know what was going on. So the mind fill in the blank with whatever experiences it had in the past. So in my case is I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. Nobody's going to love me. I'm going to be alone or whatever that made up in my mind. So again, I went through that. I validated every experience that I was going through. So for several days, I had my roller coaster of emotions because I would, the anxiety would kick in again, the anguish would come back, deal with it. And as I started releasing, I started feeling much better by being there, me, Tommy, adult, being there for 18-year-old version of me that was going through that traumatic moment. But there's a very interesting spin to this story, guys. That was 27 years ago. Okay, 27 years ago, this happened to me. In 2008, my marriage ends, and a couple of months later, I meet this woman again, and we start dating again. And that's my actual wife now. So 16 years ago, we re-met and we started dating. And although I asked my wife, back then my girlfriend, what happened at that moment that she walked away on me and she never talked to me again, we were both insecure. Although we were in our 30s, we still didn't have these tools, right? And what she told me is when I asked her, hey, why did you walk like that away from me? Did you like me? And something else, she said, like, I don't know. I was, testing waters. I had just broken up for a 5-year relationship, so I wasn't sure what I wanted. That's all she said. So for me, that wasn't confirmation that she was in love with me. That was just, she didn't know what she wanted. But that didn't really, in a way, give me the answer that Tommy would bring peace of mind to the end. And I could bring that to myself, don't get me wrong. But eventually, 3, 4 days ago, I went to my wife, and I asked her, hey, I need you, and I told her, hey, I've been weird for the past couple of days. And I told you I didn't know what was going on. I've been processing something really deep and I need to ask you something. And I need you to be as honest as you can. I told her, please, I need you to be as honest as you can with me because this is very important for me. And I asked her, why did you walk away on me back then? And did you have a crush on me? Did you like me? And she looked at me and she said, yes, I had, strong feelings for you, but I was confused because of what was going on with my ex-boyfriend. So I really liked you, but, back then I went back to what felt safe, that was going back to my old boyfriend. So when she said that, I started crying again, right? Being able to really bring closer to that event of my 18-year-old not knowing why this person had walked away on me and didn't have anybody to help him process what he went through. So, how did I dissolve the anxiety and the anguish? By dealing with it, by understanding that my mind was reliving a past memory that was still very traumatic for me. Because, again, as I told you, I really felt that this was the love of my life. I even thought I was going to marry this girl back then. And yes, I ended up marrying her, but years later. Again, so, 27 years ago this happened. And then that was, I don't know, maybe in 1998. And in 2008, we met again and started dating and we ended up getting married. So we re-met again like 10 years later, if I'm not doing the math wrong. Yes, 10 years later, we re-met again and we started dating. But that Tommy, 18 years old, had never brought a closure to what had happened to him. So thank God I had this person beside me to be able to ask them and be able to bring more closure. But the idea is to bring closure on, by myself sometimes, because maybe that person, I never talk to them. I don't even have their contact. Maybe I have an issue with my parents and they're not around anymore. Sometimes most of the times I help people bring closure without having that person beside them or close to them to be able to bring that closure. It is possible to do it. But if we don't bring closure to the mind, we're going to keep reliving those moments, and we're going to have those panic attacks, anxiety attacks, anguish, or any emotional turmoil, ups and downs, roller coasters, because we're not actually dealing with our emotions. So what I want to invite you guys is to start dealing with your emotions. Start realizing that our emotions are the byproduct of some type of memory that hasn't been dealt with in the past that needs closure. When we bring closure to the mind, and you might say, but Tommy, you're talking about different events along our timeline. Yes, that's how it works. I've been doing this work for 16 years, bringing closure to different events in my timeline, and still events keep popping up and I keep dealing with them, and I feel much lighter. I feel more love. I feel more connection. I used to have a really bad relationship with my brother, especially with my sister a little bit. I had a really bad relationship with my parents. I would get triggered all the time with them, no matter what. My wife, felt uncomfortable coming to meetings because she knew I was going to blow up eventually. And nowadays, I don't blow up anymore. And it's not that my parents have changed much, right? It's that Tommy has healed and is not triggered, because as I always share, and a lot of people share this too, Bessel van der Kolk, Gabor Mate, Margaret Paul, many big names share that when we get triggered is just showing us where there is a part of us that needs to be healed. It's not some external thing, it's some internal thing, because the more we heal, the less we get triggered. So I'm able to set better boundaries. I'm able to, have a great relationship with my parents. And that had to do mostly with me by healing and reprogramming the mind. So if you're struggling with any of these things, emotion, roller coasters, things like that, feeling emptiness inside, feeling, alone, even if when you're surrounded by people, you feel that you have a successful life, but you're not being able to feel it. And I have worked with a lot of people that have a successful life on the outside, but on the inside, they still feel not enough. They feel not, they feel like a failure. They feel empty. They feel, lonely. So when we realize that those feelings are coming from unresolved issues from the past, then we can take responsibility, deal with them, and start dissolving these behaviors, these emotions that we're going through, to have a different life, right? Being able to feel more freedom, feel more confident, feel more, have a better self-esteem, be able to take more actions in your life, stop procrastinating, falling into perfectionism, not being able to set boundaries. Those are the byproduct of dealing with what's going on inside of you. Again, as I said it before, so many people teach how to act confident, but that is just an act. To truly feel the confidence, you need to heal from within. Huge, what's his name? There's a guy that I've been following lately that I love, that Chase Hughes. There we go. Chase Hughes, that he just offered a lecture on this. He talks that confidence is not something that we act, it's something that we own. And not just by, again, teaching hacks to be able to manifest that self-confidence, is healing, reprogramming the mind to believe, connect with that confidence that is within us. Because as babies, we came with that confidence, but some of the external things that happened to us and how we processed it kind of, covered that confidence. So again, I recommend that you start dealing with whatever you're going through emotionally, mentally, because that's what's going to break this prison that we're living in. because it has to do with not dealing with actually going on. Most people would just said, oh, that nothing is going on. I shouldn't feel anguish. I shouldn't feel anxiety. I just woke up in my house. I'm living in the mountains. I'm having a good life. Why should I feel like this? I shouldn't feel like this. And they do a cognitive bypass where they override their emotions with information. So that just covers up the emotions, but they're not dealt. They're just suppressed or even called depressed. No wonders why depression is skyrocketing in the statistics around the world, because people are depressing their emotions, because that's what most people are teaching. It's a new age, people, where we need to start dealing correctly with our emotions. I believe that we're spiritual beings living a human experience, and we're meant to love and accept every part of us, including the negative emotions. Because negative emotions are not bad, are just negative emotions. So the idea is to embrace those emotions. As I always say in the movie, Inside Out, all the emotions need to coexist together to bring harmony. It's not about fighting between, emotions. And that's what we see in most of the movie, that they start fighting amongst each other, and it brings disharmony, disease in the mind. The idea is to bring, of course, harmony in the mind by embracing every emotion, giving space to every emotion. Because when anxiety is hugged by love, the anxiety level goes down to a level that we can still think clearly, we can still execute, even if there's a little bit of anxiety there, or fear, or whatever. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you in